Hi, I'm Bill Doherty, co-founder of the Doherty Relationship Institute, and I want to talk about the advice that many people get when they're on the brink of divorce and considering ending their marriage. They're often referred to books, or they go to the bookstore, or their therapist refers them to books or websites, and there's two kinds of input people get that I think are, well, let's say partial and not full enough. And one is the sort of rational choice approach. Make a list of good reasons to stay in the relationship, the good reasons to leave the relationship, what's the downside of staying, what's the downside of leaving, and do it like you're trying to decide whether to trade in your car and get a new car. Okay, just rational, and almost as if you could count the number of things on either side. Like on one side you have the kids, I don't want to leave because of the kids, and then you have all these other, oh, look at the 10 over here. And that assumes it's this sort of rational calculation, like you're spending money on something. And the other is are you unhappy? You have a right to be happy. You empower yourself. And so the feeling oriented. So if your unhappiness is a clue, and maybe more than a clue, sort of drives, where you go. So either this sort of rational choice, or that you're unhappy and you have the right to be happy. And so the downside, of course, is that's not how people make these decisions. And by the way, it's not how people make the decisions usually to get married, or if they do, they're not off to a good start. Okay, that deciding on somebody is not just rational, although it needs to be partly rational, and ought not to be. There's that song we got married in a fever. That's not a good way to do it too. It's a combination. So when people are thinking about a divorce, we know that they're pondering it a lot. They're thinking through various scenarios for their life, and they're also on an emotional roller coaster. Up and down, in and out. And there's good research on this now. And what people need that they're not getting from those resources is a look at what their own contribution to the problems may be. They're mostly getting focused on what their spouse is doing, or on the relationship, or just on their own emotional responses. And I've developed something called Discernment Counseling, and trained lots of therapists in it, which is a specialized approach to working with people who are considering getting out of their marriage, as well as their spouse, in which we help them develop a more coherent understanding of what's happened to the relationship, including their own contributions to the problems. And this then helps ground them. Okay, what's happened between us, and what have I done here that if I don't take a look at, I may carry into another relationship. So I often tell people, you can't divorce yourself. Okay, and so we carry ourselves into new relationships. So in discernment counseling, well, of course we help people think rationally and reasonably. Of course we help them identify feelings, but we also help them with a narrative construction of what happened with us. And the hardest one is, what's my part in this? Not in a self-reproach, self-loathing way, but what's my co-responsibility for the challenges that we have faced? And this helps people have helps them make a better decision, and it helps them, if they're going to work on the marriage, if they get divorced, they're much more grounded than if you're not buying a car or just going for your bliss, or getting rid of your unbliss. You actually are approaching this in a kind of, I think, a full, mature, adult way.